Good evening and welcome to the Whiskey Lover Society with me, Gert Retief. And tonight we are finishing up the series on the Glenfarclas. So just a quick reminder, I did a review on the 8-year-old, 10-year-old and the 12-year-old. Quite an interesting combination, quite an interesting whiskey, and also quite an affordable whiskey. So not really a good comparison to see which one is the best, considering they are not of the same age. But I think for me the comparison is more about the quality, also more about the quite a budget prices of this whiskey, and to see maybe if a 8-year-old can be better than a 10-year-old, or a 10-year-old can be better than a 12-year-old. So they are all finished in sherry casks. So price-wise, I'm going to start off with the 8-year-old. Just a quick recap. I will also put a link over here or over here, going to link to the 8-year-old. So if you want to go see the full review. So color-wise, I think this is the lightest one, and it makes sense because it is only matured for 8 years. But it's still a nice copper or dark gold color. It is a natural color. All of them are natural color, but of course at a low ABV, it's probably, well, it is chill filtration present. So on the nose on the 8-year-old, just a quick one. Sweet fruity notes. It reminds me a little bit of a red apple, the Pink Lady red apples, very sweet. A little vanilla, a little bit of a cinnamon coming out, brown sugar, a little bit of a cotton candy note coming out as well. Then I also get a hint of that caramelized peaches on it. Alcohol-wise, 40% ABV is not a lot of alcohol, but I also don't get a lot of the alcohol on the nose. So, and a hint of an orange zest that's coming out, so quite pleasant. So taste-wise, sweet, a little bit of an alcohol bite, a little bit of a warmth, spicy note coming out, a little bit of an oily note, a little bit of a toffee note coming out, a little bit of a tannin also coming out, which I was quite surprised. So quite spicy as well, a little bit like almost getting into a chili, and that warm feeling that is created. Nothing complex, but I did like it. I'm not going to give you the score. If you want to see the score that I gave this one, go watch my video. So that is for me on the 8-year-old, quite pleasant. And 34 euros for an 8-year-old, I think it is quite a good price. Next up is the 10-year-old. And if you compare the 10-year-old to the 8-year-old, 8 years, 10 years, color-wise, it is almost exactly the same. Maybe one notch up from the 8-year-old. So a little bit darker, but it's very similar. So on the 10-year-old, also 40% ABV, cost 43 euros. Almost 10 euros more expensive than the 8-year-old. So on the nose, I got the caramel notes, loads more caramel. A lot of the sherry cask notes are coming out for me. So in the 8-year-old, it was more the toffee notes. And on this one, I do get a little bit more of the raisins, the sherry, the figs, a little bit of a date note coming out. The alcohol for me, it does feel a little bit sharper than the 8-year-old, which is a little bit of a surprise for me, but it's quite pleasant. Some vanilla coming out, and also a little bit of a honey note coming out. For me, I think it's a little bit better on the nose for me today. Yesterday it was not the case. So it did change a little bit. So on the taste, big caramel notes that I get. I do get immediately a little bit of an oaky note coming out. The alcohol, again, a little bit of a sharpness, a little bit of a youthful note to it, but I think it's a little bit more mellowed out than the 8-year-old, and which I completely expected to be. Extra 2 years does mellow out some of the young alcohol notes. So also, I was expecting a little bit more sherry. Didn't get that extra sherry note. So that for me was a little bit of a strange one. Also, I get that honey note coming out on this. Let me just give it a taste. A little bit more of the wood flavors coming out. A little bit more of the caramel note coming out, but more a little bit on the burnt caramel side. And then in the end, I get a hint of a raisin. And the oak, for me, just keeps on building up. So every sip was a little bit more oak. But it is very pleasant, very drinkable, quite a dangerous one this. So on to the 12-year-old, and I do a quick comparison with the color. Definitely between the 10-year-old on this side and the 12-year-old on this side, you see quite a bigger jump on color. So quite a darker color for compared to the 10-year-old. And cost-wise, it was €49 for 1 liter. Forgot to mention, the 8 years and 10 years old was for 70 centiliters or 700 milliliters. This one, €49 for 1 liter. I think that is quite a nice price. So bottled at 43%, of course, also 100% sherry cask finish, and natural color. So on the nose, definitely is a lot of sweet fruity notes coming out. Some of the raisins and the plums that you expected to see from a sherry cask finish or maturation, full 100%. A little bit of a caramel note coming out, sugar notes coming out, sweetness coming out, a hint of a dusty note, cinnamon, a little bit of a vanilla note coming out. And I also get a little bit of an orange oil in the background. So, alcohol-wise, don't get a lot of that extra 3%. So quite mellowed out. But I did also pour it a while ago. So I did give it some time in a glass for all 3 of them. On the taste, soft, big, sweet toffee notes, raisins coming out, a little bit of a dark chocolate coming out, something like a chocolate covered raisin, loads and loads of sherry notes, strong alcohol. It maybe it is just something in the mind that I said that there's a little bit of an extra alcohol in it, but I do get a little bit of an extra warm alcohol kick on the taste. So for me, nice creamy note also coming out, but of course reminiscent to that chocolate note that is in it. So of course I need to get to a conclusion. So I did like the 8-year-old. I do like the 8-year-old price. But when I look, if I spend a couple of euros more, maybe the 10-year-old is going to be better. Now for me, surprisingly, I did enjoy the 8-year-old a little bit more. And of course, but comparing it is not always possible considering the age difference. So I also just take a look at the price points, and I did do a little bit of a comparison. If you look at a 12-year-old, a 12-year-old Glenfarclas is going to cost you €40. This one, 12-year-old, is going to cost you €49. Glenfarclas 12-year-old is going to cost you 61 euros. So way more expensive than the Glenfarclas. Also the Glenlivet, I look at the 12-year-old, that's around 37 euros again, a lot cheaper than this one. Also look at the Glenfiddich, maybe not a good comparison, but the Glenfiddich was 31 euros. The Bunnahabhain 12-year-old will cost you 45 euros, so quite similar to the Bunnahabhain. And Aberfeldy I looked at 36 euro. So the 10-year-old, we look at the Edderdour 10, which is around 42 euros, which is a real sherry bomb for me. Tomentel, like the Tomentel, 32 euros. And the Glenmorangie was for 37 euros for the 10-year-old. So if I look at the comparisons, look at the price range of these whiskies, then of course you need to look at picking the one that is good on the wallet. You need to pick one that is a price range that reflects other whiskies at the same age. And of course you need to take in account your own flavor profile, which one do you like the most. So the conclusion for this one is a little bit of a difficult one for me. I like the price of the 8-year-old, but I'm sure there's going to be a lot of 8-year-old whiskies that's going to be a lot cheaper. There's a lot of whiskies that has a no age statement whiskey that is going to be a little bit cheaper than this one. I didn't go look for some stats on that, but I know I bought some cheaper ones as a no age statement whiskey. But if you like Glenfarclas, you like the idea of Glenfarclas, the family owned business, I think that is a very good start if you want a sherry whiskey. The 10-year-old, I did like it. I did like the sherry notes, and it felt for me there's a little bit more sherry notes coming in, a little bit unrefined maybe. It's not as smooth as the 12-year-old. So in the end I had to pick between the 10 and the 12-year-old. The price for me at the 43 euros for the 10-year-old, 49 for a liter on the 12-year-old made it quite an easy decision for me, and I went for the 12-year-old. Shocker, I know. But definitely, if you are stuck between the 10 and the 12, definitely go for the 12. Now, a lot of people have commented on my series and they said, what about the 15-year-old? What about the 17-year-old? Well, I went online yesterday. I did order the 15-year-old and the 17-year-old. I have the Glenfarclas 25-year-old, but that one is for a special occasion. And hopefully I'm going to open that on 1,000 subscribers. I'm just short of 500 subscribers. I think I need about 12 people to subscribe to get to the 500. The 21st of February this year, I will be doing this for 1 year. About 260 videos in 1 year. I think is a high count. You can imagine how many whiskeys I've tried. So if you come this far, then do me a favor, subscribe if you like my channel. Leave a comment. Tell me which whiskies you would like to hear from, and I will do my best. Also, I have a Patreon account, I have a Buy Me a Coffee, and I have a merchandise store. And 100% of all those proceeds coming in from these accounts will go towards children in South Africa. We are currently sponsoring 35 children, 85 families that's going through a difficult time. So thank you very much for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and I see you next time. Cheers.